Hi. I remember a long time ago hearing a poem about a blacksmith, and I memorized it wrong. I mean, I didn't mean it. I really memorized it wrong. It's supposed to be under a spreading chestnut tree, the village blacksmith stands. I memorized it under a spreading chest of hair, a smelly blacksmith stands. Because that's the one that made sense to me. But that's not how it goes. Anyway, one day I was walking past Billy the blacksmith's blacksmith shop. And it was a hot day, and all he was wearing was his blue jeans. And then he had a leather apron that had a bib on it, and he tied it around it, went around his neck. And because it was so hot, he had no shirt on under it. So I didn't know if he had a spreading chest of hair or not. It was all covered up. But anyway, I was standing in the doorway just watching Billy work. A blacksmith is a guy that he swings iron around all day. He has to be big and strong. He's got long iron poles and even pieces of iron, almost like I-beams. But you know what he does? He has a thing called a forge. And you put the iron in that forge of hot coals, and it starts to melt the iron so it becomes malleable, which means you can bend it around. And that's what Billy the blacksmith does all day. That's why he doesn't wear a shirt. It's hot in there with that forge going all the time. So I was watching him one day, and he was fixing some horseshoes to lift them up and nail them onto the horse's hoofs. And he had some long gripper things, I don't know what you call them, but he put them in the fire, put the horseshoe in the fire, and then he put it in water, and it would go, all the steam would come up because he was cooling it off. Then he put it back on the anvil, and ping, 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 again it would go. And as I was watching him, I was in the barn door, and I noticed a bunch of old worn out hammers on the ground by my feet. And I mean, I was just a kid, but I asked Billy when he was holding one of the horseshoes down under the water, I said, Billy, how did these hammers get so worn out? I thought when you pounded them on the anvil that it would wear out the horseshoes and not the hammers. And Billy said, well, that's the way it is when you're a blacksmith. You learn that the anvil, which you put the horseshoes on and pound it, says the anvil is always stronger than the hammers. The anvil wears out the hammers. And I didn't know that before, but if you're a blacksmith, you know that. They had broken handles on the hammers, and the ends of the heads were kind of chipped out where the steel was and stuff. He says the anvil always wears out the hammers. And you know, that's the way it is with God's word. People that think they have religion, they're like the hammers. They're always pounding at the anvil of God's words. And no matter how strong and how hard they pound on that anvil, their ideas of religion will all wear out. And the anvil of God's word will always stand strong and sure and steady. So we don't go by what religion we are. That it's got to be founded on God's word is the anvil of all anvils. And so that's a lesson I learned from Billy, our village blacksmith, with his spreading chest of hair. always go by God's word, not men's ideas or their traditions about religion. That's all, no matter how hard and strong they try to pound at it, it'll wear out the hammers, but never the anvil of God's word. Remember that. Good thing to remember. Okay? All right. I love you guys. Bye-bye. Bye.